Welcome to this week's episode of the Lido Loop. I am your host, Jack McCraw. With me, as always, my good friend, Jesse Barboza. Hope you're having a good weekend, man.
Yeah, so far so good. But this past week was not that good for you, huh, Jack?
No, well, two things happened. One, that NCL cruise that we talked about last weekend is no longer happening due to reasons.
Unforeseeable reasons.
Unforeseeable reasons, which unfortunately we can't get into on the podcast. But the other issue that happened...
Hey, you got to book the MSC now.
You know what? I think that's a sign. Like, I was going to take a week-long cruise in late January. Why not I just do one in February? And I kind of like the days that you're going on the MSC because I won't have to miss any football games. And the day that we come back is the day of the Super Bowl.
I mean, that's the whole reason I booked it.
Yeah, because you're not going to miss the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, God forbid, what if like the Cowboys or Texans are in the Super Bowl? I mean, we could dream, I guess.
That's a good one, Jack.
Yeah, God forbid we missed that one. The other thing that happened is my ankle is nearly broken. So I went to an Akon and Neo concert last weekend. It was fun, but I slipped in the lawn and actually had a significant sprain and a slight torn tendon on my foot. So, Jesse, would you say that that's a pretty good weekend right there?
Damn. I'm sure it was a little rough this week, huh?
The good thing is I didn't spill the beer.
I mean, that's the only thing that matters, really.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, this shouldn't affect any vacations going forward. And, especially if I'm going on a cruise, like, hey, I think you can just rent one of those wheelchairs on a cruise, right? They'll find a way to get you to the casino.
Believe me, and you would find a way, knowing you.
Absolutely. Well, there's a will, there's a way. But speaking of cruises, Jesse, what's the latest and greatest in the cruise world?
Yeah, so going to Mexico just got more expensive. And we're going to talk about solar eclipses cruise because Carnival Legend did have a solar eclipse cruise. And also, NCL is now changing their booking model.
Yeah, I think I have a little bit of experience with booking NCL, considering everything I went through last week and now to the de-booking process. So that'll be fun to get into. On the theme park side of things, Six Flags Fiesta Texas has announced new permits of a time frame of where and when they're going to build Werewolf Gorge, not Werewolf George. Universal Studios has announced new Halloween Horror Nights experience, including a popular TV show and, of course, a movie that is one of the top grossing movies this year. And on the travel side of things, I think I have a very fun story about a super high-speed ferry in Greece that is apparently making people sick. Stay tuned for that. That, and then, of course, D23 was over the weekend, so Jess and I are going to break down all the latest Disney news that came out over the weekend in regards to the theme park and cruising aspects. That and much more on this week's episode of the Lido Loop. So for those of you new to the show, welcome. We are the Lido Loop, where we like to talk about all things cruising, theme parks, casinos, and any other travel aspect to help make your next vacation great. And we always like to start the show with the cruise news. So, Jesse, going to Mexico is now going to get more expensive, I'm hearing. You want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so Mexico just increased the cruise passenger tax, and the increase took effect August 1st, 2026. Originally, this was actually going to be a $42 tax originally. Just think about that, Jack. If it costs $42 a person on a port, for one person, it may not be that bad. But if you have a family of four, that's over 16. $160, right?
Yes, that is correct.
$168. Do you feel like that 42 would have been crazy?
Yeah, but I know you and I were kind of talking about this a little bit off air, but from my understanding, it's just a one-time fee. So if you go to, let's say, Progresso and Cozumel, you just have to pay the $40 that one time.
Yeah, that's correct. And they were actually unsure about that for a while, but they did clarify that it is per trip, if that makes sense. And it's called like a non-resident fee.
So, do other countries have this, like the Jamaica, Cayman Islands, or Belize, Honduras?
So they do all have this fee. It's not as much. And so I think the cruise community, because especially since being in, Galveston, which most our destinations are Mexican, places like, Cozumel, Progresso, or
Costa Maya.
Costa Maya, yeah. because of that, it definitely, like, the cruise community that kind of like fought back and be like, hey, we can't have $42. That's ridiculous. They were just trying to, make more and more money. And apparently the money wasn't even going to like to build the ports up. It was going to like their military. It was like something stupid.
So yeah, I was really curious as to why Mexico charged so much more than everyone else. I mean, I understand that it's a very popular destination, but there is going to be some pushback if you keep charging more and more. Some people are like, you know what? I don't want to go on a cruise that goes to Mexico. Instead, I want to go to somewhere else, especially if you only have a 1 day in Mexico and it's Cozumel, so you're just on the island. So yeah, in my opinion, I think that's just a ridiculous amount to pay just so that way you can go to a Mexican port. I mean, they're fun. Don't get me wrong. I love Mr. Sancho's. I wish I could have went to Progresso. I love going to Cozumel, but I'm not going to pay $42 for that when I can go elsewhere and pay significantly less.
Yeah, exactly. So last year on July 1st, they increased it by $5. Now, August 1st this year, it's $10. By 2027 is going to be $15, and then by 2028 it's going to be $21. So it's slowly creeping up there. I'm sure eventually there's got to be a time that they're going to start cutting back and be like, hey, bro, we got to chill out.
I mean, they've been saying the same thing about Disney, but those prices keep going up and up and up every single year. As long as people are paying it, they're going to keep doing it. But yeah, I just think that that's just a ridiculous fee that you have to pay just that way you can just go to port. And yes, I understand that it's included in your cruise fare, but that's going to overall make your cruise more expensive, especially let's say you have the family of four scenario, like you said, that's an extra $168 versus that you could use that at the casino or you literally any other aspect of your cruise, but instead you're having to pay that just so that way you can go to Mexico.
Yeah, you kind of point with like casino. Like, I think I know it's kind of off topic, but there's like a cruise math, like, like if you go to a restaurant and they say, "Oh, it's 50 more cents for cheese," you're like, "Nah, I'm good." But $1 to spend on a slot machine, is that okay? Yeah, count me in.
Yeah, that's a good deal. What you talking about? I mean, we were talking about like $5 blackjack one time on, I believe it was the MSC.
Yeah, they got $5 power hour.
I mean, when you instead of spending $5 for a sandwich, it's like, hey, that's a ripoff in certain aspects. But $5 blackjack, keep it coming.
Exactly. He's like, that's so cheap. But
yeah, that's just degenerate gambler math. That's not exactly cruise math.
Exactly.
But hey, your drink could also be for free if you spend however much money at the slot machine.
That is true. So I mean, that's one way to look at it. That's how a gambler looks at it. A real gambler.
And you could say we're real gambling men. So how about going on a solar eclipse cruise? Jesse, is that something that you would be interested in?
Yeah, so Carnival Legend, they had a solar eclipse cruise. It's one of Carnival's more unusual sellings, and it was specifically designed around the August 12th total eclipse. Now, Jack, would you go on something like that? Do you feel like it's worth it to go on cruise? I'm not like a big, like, oh, solar eclipse. Like, if it happens, I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same mindset. I was driving home from Dallas when the last solar eclipse happened here in the States. And that was, I think, April or late March, early April of 2024. And it was cool to see, but I wouldn't plan a whole vacation around it. Like, I guess if it happens to, go over the ship that I'm on or like happens to be in the destination where I'm already at, then cool, I guess. But I wouldn't go out of my way to go see it.
Yeah, so Carnival actually had this it was like promoted as a solar eclipse selling, which is pretty cool because of course they can predict these solar eclipses,
well in advance. If you look them up, I think like the next one is 2027. It's going to go over South America, and they already have people booking massive vacations because of that.
Exactly. I don't get the hype, me personally, for like what is usually a couple minutes, if that, right?
Yeah, and actually, side note, I was in Dallas to see Astros play the Rangers. Every hotel was booked or sold out because of the solar eclipse. I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to go to a baseball game. Like, I don't want to care about the sun is, blocked out by the moon.
Yeah, so Carnival Cruise Line called it 11-day eclipse. It was a Spain, Portugal, and France. Carnival Journey selling. It departed from Dover, England on August 9, 2026, and it positioned offshore specifically so guests can watch the eclipse from the ship. I mean, like I said, they're definitely cool ports, like 11 days, and you go all the way from Paris to Portugal. It's definitely like a bucket list, or Spain. Like definitely a bucket list.
Yeah,
cruises.
I think the European aspect of that is more intriguing than the solar eclipse. Like, we kind of mentioned earlier, I don't want to reiterate it too much, but if it happens, cool. I might go out there with the glasses and, oh, that's cool, and then just go right back into the casino.
Yeah, I like that makes you think. Like, I guarantee you that they charge more money just.
Of course, because it's a once in a lifetime experience that they could promote it as.
Yeah, I mean, and all they actually give you is like glasses, like to watch.
It's like I feel like you can watch the same thing online and get. I mean, yes, if you're there and you actually it goes totally dark in the middle of the day, it is interesting spectacle, but I think it's definitely very overhyped in my opinion. Kind of like a Norwegian Cruise Line ship, which they are changing their booking model, which I can talk about a little bit just because I had to go through the process of booking and canceling an NCL ship. Now, Jesse, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what they're changing as far as their booking model goes?
Yeah, so NCL is changing the way it prices cruises, and this is a pretty significant shift in how they expect customers to book. So a lot of people ask, like, what's changing? So Norwegian Cruise Line is moving away what they called a base-loaded pricing strategy. On the old model, NCL could keep prices relatively high for much of the booking period and then drop the price significantly as the selling got closer if the cabins weren't sold fast enough. So under the new program, NCL wants to start with a more competitive pricing, fill more cabins early, reduce the need for last-minute discounts, and protect pricing closer for selling. So, Jack, with this booking, do you think this is really good for NCL?
Yeah, absolutely, because it gives them an option when compared to Carnival, MSC, even Royal Caribbean and Disney. Because if you're, let's just, call it what it is, if you consider Disney and Royal the two most expensive cruises that you could go on, besides the ultra luxury ones, exactly, like the Ritz-Carlton, whatever. But, just from a everyday standpoint, those are the higher priced options, whereas NCL is now offering them in the same price point as similar to Carnival and MSC, then more people will be wanting to try NCL out, like I was.
Exactly. Like me and you were kind of talking off air, like, I booked my cruise out, probably 9 months to a year, right? And if I'm booking cruises, I usually, the number one thing we look at is what, usually?
Price,
exactly. And if we see NCLs, like, that's $1,000 more for an NCL cruise, we already put that out of the equation. We don't want to book it, right? But if NCL was competitive enough, they would put their price so it's another option, right? Mm-hmm. And then with the price point, then we can look at onboard amenities or location where they're going, right?
Yeah, so, excursions and what else to do on the ship, the dining options. So everything I was looking when I was doing the research on this ship is, yeah, the price point was pretty good because for a drink package and I think the bare minimum Wi-Fi was about $800 a person, and that was in the stateroom. And then, of course, we were going to book for January, so definitely an off season for cruising in general. But that's a very competitive price to what Carnival offers or MSC. So already right there, like I'm more so intrigued by NCL. And then when I was doing my research on it, it seems like they have that lower price point because this cruise line does look like it does nickel and dime you a little bit more than I would say Carnival or MSC does, because they only have 4 free dining options. There's 5 options that you can pay for. I mean, like Mexican food, sushi, of course, Prime Steakhouse. If you wanted, I think the go-karts was extra. I think, arcade, they have an escape room that's extra. Yeah. So it's like, I understand why they're doing like the lower price points to get people on. And then it's kind of the casino mindset of, charge as little as possible. So that way you can get there and then they'll spend their money once they're actually in the casino, and in this case on the ship.
Yeah, exactly. And we're like, another thing we talked about off air is like, if you book a cruise a year out, they have NCL literally has a year to sell you more stuff. And like you're saying, the drink package or dining or whatever it is, they have a year. Because how I look at it, it's kind of weird how I look at a cruise. When I book a cruise, I'm like, oh, it's already paid off. I have extra money to spend. And
that's just your cruise math right there.
Yeah, exactly. That's cruise math. And it's real math though. And so I'm like, okay, so like this next Carnival cruise, it's been paid off the past like I think 2-3 months, or the Carnival cruise. So I'm looking at like, I'm probably what else can I get now? So I'm about to buy the arcade, like $100 arcade credit for one of my kids. So, but if NCL did, like I said, if NCL's with this new model, they're able to try to get those extra sales. And like I said, I 100% support NCL on this, and I definitely think that it's in the long run, it's going to help their image, and it's going to help their booking numbers, and overall help their money coming in.
And the next thing they need to do is stop charging for shows.
Yeah, that's the next thing. So I mean, I'm sure NCL is going to go away with that, and I'm sure, like I said, NCL is heading in the right direction, but I just hope it's not too late, honestly.
Yeah, and like I said, I was excited about it potentially going, but like we said, unforeseen circumstances, kind of forced us to no longer go on this ship. I think eventually I will try NCL, because all the research I did, it does look like a more luxurious Carnival, if that's like the most simplistic way of putting it. Kind of like how you said about MSC, and the clientele was definitely older, which doesn't particularly bother me. Carnival has always been the party ship, and always will be. But, it's nice to do something a little bit different. That's kind of why I'm more so considering MSC for my next cruise.
So, Jack, so switching to theme park news. So I sent you something earlier in the week about the permits with Six Flags announcing the Werewolf Gorge attraction. Is that right?
Yes, I love how we have to have that little pause every time we say it. Yeah, Werewolf Gorge, not Werewolf George. There is no E in Gorge, except at the end. So Werewolf Gorge now has permits that have been filed. So the construction is supposed to start in August and conclude in April. So that does give Fiesta Texas about a 8-month timeline to complete this attraction. And there's already been price points figured out. Like, it's going to cost, about $5.5 million, which I feel like that's kind of fair for a coaster. And some of the, interesting things about this ride is going to have 4 launches, including a swing launch, which I believe that's just like a launch that goes like off to the side or something. It's going to have a rollback, 39-inch height requirement. It's going to go 45 miles an hour. It's going to have 4,120 feet of track, and it's a Vekoma. So it looks like it's going to be a very interesting ride that's going to fit in with Fiesta Texas. And, like I said, we talk about Fiesta Texas because it is technically our home park. And the area it's going to be at, Jesse, is going to be located pretty much right in between the Iron Rattler and the Roadrunner.
The water park. So near a water park too, right?
Yeah, they actually took out 2 water slides in order to build this.
So technically in the water park.
Technically it is in the water park. And, Fiesta Texas does still have a little bit of land to expand on. I think they have enough room for maybe one more giant coaster, kind of where like Tony Hawk, now Pandemonium, is that area of the boardwalk. So I could see them building maybe one more big coaster, but I mean, it's kind of getting enclosed unless they start taking parking lots out. But yeah, so the opening time frame you were looking at, if everything is complete by April, and assuming testing is done by then, we're probably looking at like a June or July of 2027 opening for Werewolf Gorge.
I mean, that's perfect for the summer, out of school crowd. It's like the busiest time, I'm sure, the summer crowd. So it's going to be a perfect time for them to come in.
Yeah, because like how we covered on Tormenta, pretty much throughout this entire year, it did take them around the same time frame in order to open, and I believe it opened towards the end of July just to be safe. And it's still a great ride over at Six Flags Over Texas, and I think this is Fiesta Texas's answer to Tormenta. And it's kind of a little bit of war of Texas parks of who's going to have the bigger, best attraction. And maybe we could see this kind of an every other year kind of thing.
Yeah, so to another topic. So Universal has announced a new Halloween Horror Night experience, including The Simpsons, the Treehouse of Horror. Is that right?
Yeah, so this is going to be a little bit of a phase into this. And there's a little bit more to this because we all know Disney owns The Simpsons ever since they bought Fox back in 2019. So Universal is still paying the rights for The Simpsons to have them in the park. because this deal was back in like 2008.
Yeah, I mean, I never really see Simpsons. I mean, like Disney actually using the Simpsons because that's not really family friendly, right?
Yeah, I think they have them on Disney Plus, and they are like a mascot for it. But yeah, I don't. The Simpsons doesn't necessarily fit into Disney's like
Exactly.
model. Like, I mean, yeah, that like same thing as Family Guy. That's more of a Hulu thing. Disney's like, we own them, but we don't support them.
We just want the money from it,
Exactly.
not the criticism.
Yeah, yeah. Family Guy has definitely made fun of Disney since being bought by Disney. But yeah, so The Simpsons, like we said, is owned by Disney, so Universal pays licensing fees. But this is the first time ever that they're gonna have like elements of Treehouse of Horrors, like their Halloween special, in the parks as well. Because right now Universal already has different haunted houses. So I'll go down some of them. Ozzy Osbourne is getting his own haunted house.
What?
The Prince of Darkness himself, man. I mean,
Is there do you like to have a bat eating experience?
Let's hope not. No bats were harmed in the making of that, haunted house. Hopefully, others are Evil Dead Burn that came out recently, Hellraiser, Stranger Things season 5, and Sinners.
Well, I mean that's Netflix. That's crazy. So you think they're gonna have a Netflix in it?
Yeah, they have done Stranger Things haunted houses before, where they have like the Demogorgon like come out and scare you.
I love Stranger Things. I think that's awesome.
If you've never been to a Halloween Horror Nights before, it's definitely the best haunted house like experience you'll ever get. I mean, yeah, it's definitely more pricey. Like you're basically paying the same price as a Universal ticket, but you get to go to these crazy haunted houses. And I think some of the rides are still open as well. And then they have, of course, original ones, based on, cyborgs, alien invasion, cannibals, and, just a typical Halloween Horror Nights. The other experience that they're going to have is the movie. Have you seen the movie Obsession?
I have not.
Okay. It's a hard movie to watch, but it's a very good movie, if that makes sense. And I'm sure you've seen the meme of like, no, don't do that.
Oh, yeah.
That's from the movie Obsession.
Oh, okay.
And like, so the character Nikki, who was crazy possessed in that movie, is going to be walking around. So yes, this is everything that Universal has announced so far. And, the Halloween Horror Nights, they're going to start here this month and then run until early November. So, hey, if you've never been, definitely recommend going.
Yeah. So you think you would see like The Simpsons, like the characters, Homer and all that there?
Yes, sorry, we kind of got a little bit off topic, but yes. So what they're gonna tease is they're gonna have like Simpsons like themed food in that Springfield area.
They're gonna have Duff beer.
Of course, yeah. They have Duff beer now as is, but they might have it like with a Halloween little theme.
Oh, okay.
And you could probably see like Sideshow Bob running around and meeting people.
Can you operate a nuclear facility?
I would probably say no. I think on the Simpsons ride you technically do. It's been a minute since I've actually been on that ride, but yeah. So what they're kind of like slow rolling the Simpsons into Halloween Horror Nights this year, and then next year is supposedly the last year that they will have the Simpsons license because it does expire in 2028. So they might go all out and just have a complete Simpsons haunted experience. So they're just testing it out this year and then rolling out for next year.
Do you think that Universal will be able to renew that, or you think Disney's like might push back and be like, "Yo, we own these rights now"?
I think for the right price they could. It's just how valuable is The Simpsons to the parks? Yeah. So, like, let's say if you compare it to Harry Potter, which Harry Potter is a mainstay in all three Universal parks. They'll pay Warner Brothers whatever it costs to keep Harry Potter.
Oh, exactly, and they should, because Universal, like you said, everyone that go to Universal is beautiful going to seeing the Harry Potter area. Is that right?
Yes. There's.
I mean, you got to get the butterbeer, right?
Oh, dude, it's so good.
I did try it last time. It is kind of pricey, but hey,
it's better than pumpkin juice, which I will say never again. They have the Wizarding World at Islands. They have Diagon Alley at Universal Studios, and I think it's the Ministry of Magic at Epic Universe. So they have 3 different Harry Potter lands, and every single park around the world has a Harry Potter, at least from a Universal standpoint. So by that comparison, like, they'll pay whatever it costs to keep it. Whereas The Simpsons, I'm sure The Simpsons is a still somewhat culturally relevant property. I mean, I think it's kind of teetering on the lines of Looney Tunes, like at Six Flags, than Simpsons. Yes, I understand the Simpsons is still running, and I'm sure it still has their massive fans that have watched every season the last 30 years.
Yeah, I do give it to them. You're right. The Simpsons, you're right. Like, they are more popular than Looney Tunes. The Looney Tunes, I ain't gonna lie, I haven't seen a Looney Tunes episode in at least 10 years.
Yeah, I think the last time the Looney Tunes were actually culturally relevant was when Space Jam 2 came out with LeBron James.
Oh, that is true.
That's the only thing, and that was like 2021, so like 5 years ago. So I could see Disney and Universal just going to the table like, hey, we want to keep them here. What can we do? And if Disney's just going to charge them too much, Universal can walk away and do something else with it. But, the other thing that we got to think about is Marvel, because technically speaking, Islands of Adventure, that land is like Universal's to own. Like Universal has an unlimited contract with Marvel that they could only break if they no longer maintain the land.
Even though it's owned by Disney.
Correct, yes.
That's kind of crazy. Well, isn't it Marvel comic books?
Yeah.
So there's like two separate entities?
Yeah, I mean, yes, Disney does own Marvel as far as like comics and the MCU obviously as well.
Yeah.
But when the contract that was signed back in 1999 with Universal and Marvel Comics was based on the Marvel Comics. So the land, it feels dated because it was comics in like the 90s.
And honestly, I still love it. Like my son's favorite ride is the Spider-Man ride in Islands of Adventure. What is it called?
I think it's just called the Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man or something
honestly,
like that.
My son went on that at least twice, and he like loved it.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty cool. The dark coaster that's there.
Yeah, the Hulk coaster, like that's like the first thing when you walk into Islands and you see this massive green coaster. And yeah, it's definitely worth a ride in the front row. So Universal will have some interesting, decisions to make in the future in regards to that. The number one rumor I hear it for anything is Pokemon, because I mean Pokemon is ginormous right now as far as like popularity.
But you know what's crazy is like when me and were kids, Pokemon was big, right?
Yeah.
So Pokemon's been big this long. How come no one's made Pokemon into a park? I think they thought it was just a fad like going on at the time. I think that maybe that's why. But yeah, I feel like it's here to stay.
I mean, you've seen like these scalpers that go in and buy all these Pokemon cards and try to sell them. The TV show
They were doing that like 25 years ago, and now they're doing it again. They're still doing it. It's crazy.
I wonder if it's our generation. We're just so nostalgic for the past that we want to bring Pokemon cards back.
Yeah.
So, I was into it when I was a little kid, but
it was just like the first generation, though.
Yeah, I wonder if they ever actually do build Pokemon and put it in Universal. Will they appeal more to our generation or the current, popular generation? Which I think the answer is a little bit of both. But Universal does have an exclusive right with Nintendo to put Nintendo intellectual properties in the park. Like they've talked about bringing Legend of Zelda there. So Pokemon just seems like a natural fit, regardless if it's, replacing the Simpsons or replacing the Lost Continent section of Islands of Adventure. That's kind of a little bit of a tangent we got on, but, the back on track. Yes, the Simpsons is going to announce their Treehouse of Horrors, theming heading to the parks, in addition to the overall aspect of the Halloween Horror Nights, which, I think it gives a little bit more to do. I mean, if you're going to Halloween Horror Nights, you're going to be scared. Like you don't go there like, oh, this is too scary for me. So The Simpsons might be a little bit of a slight upgrade over not that scary to a little scary before you get to the big rides, the big haunted houses rather. And then, kind of changing to a little bit of travel news, Jesse, have you ever gotten seasick?
No, me personally never got seasick, but I kind of know the story you're talking about, and I have been on the ferry that's in Galveston.
Yeah, so there is a ferry in Greece that people are calling the Vomit Comet. Now, apparently it's a fast-moving ferry that connects, different island and tourist destinations in Greece. And, looks like it's a passenger ship that, you get your car on and, you just, like, it's a ferry. Like, it takes you from one island to the other. Well, apparently it goes at such high speeds that some passengers said their dream vacation was wrecked as they fought to keep their lunches down, calling the speedy vessels the worst nightmare, earning them the Vomit Comet nickname. Now, I can't imagine how fast a ferry can actually go. Maybe just, I would say like, no faster than a cruise ship. I guess it has the capability.
Yeah, considering I know a cruise ship actually just, I don't know why, it's kind of random. I heard this week, they go average about the fastest they go is about 24 miles an hour, which is, to me, it doesn't seem that
Yeah,
crazy.
that's a school zone speed right there.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure a ferry, there's no way it goes that much more. But looking at the picture that you have actually on your laptop here, it seems like they go inside of it, like typical ferries, like the Bolivar one.
The Bolivar Peninsula. I think that the one that connects you to Crystal Beach. Yeah, you can drive your car right on it.
But it goes on top of it. You used to be able to. I remember the day you used to get out of your car. They don't allow you to get out of the car anymore.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. I remember as a kid, we got out of our car and we would hang out.
That's how you would see dolphins on the side. And
Exactly,
stuff like
and
that.
it was a cool experience. But nowadays, it's all about business, so it just takes you to the other side. But I mean, I guess if I wasn't able to see where I'm going, I guess I might be able to get more sick because it looks like you like just roll it in the inside of it. Is that correct?
Yeah, from the photo that I'm looking at, it's these passengers, they get in and then they get off. I mean,
Did this just open this ferry? I mean, because I've never heard about this ferry. It had to have just opened why it's making news. Is that correct?
it has to be. Maybe they just got up a different speed and these people are not used to it. Because I mean, it just looks like it's just a passenger ferry that takes you just from one island of Greece to the other. And with Greece being made up of multiple islands, I understand why they have ferries in the first place. But I don't know if it's going to cause people to get this sick. I mean, it would make me think twice about going on this ferry. So a big thing that did happen over the weekend was D23. So
what does D23 stand for, by the way?
Glad you asked. It means Disney 23. So it's basically a Comic-Con that Disney puts on for itself. So it's how Disney announces all of their brand new TV shows, movies, theme park, cruising, news for the foreseeable future. Give a movie news example. They gave a new trailer for Avengers and Doomsday, and then of course they announced the new cast of X-Men with Adam Driver coming in to play one of the villains. So, and they announced other future projects and films like Frozen 3. I think The Incredibles 3 was one of them. Coco 2. So Disney uses this time to also talk about the theme parks and the cruising. So the theme parks was on Saturday, and they talk a lot about international parks, and I'll kind of hit on that just very briefly. Like they're going to have new Avengers rides. There's a Spider-Man roller coaster going.
See the Car Land.
Yeah,
at Magic Kingdom, right?
Yes. I'll get to that one. But like the Lion King is replace Splash in a Mountain in Paris. There's going to be a Spider-Man roller coaster in Shanghai.
A Villain's Land too?
Yep, Villain's Land is another big one. So yeah, the big takeaways though from the theme park aspect though is in Magic Kingdom they're going to have 2 new lands, Cars Land and Villains Land. Now these were announced in 2024 at the last D20 because D23 is a every other year event. Oh. So every even year. So when that was announced, it was more so a blue sky concept of we're going to put a Cars Land in Magic Kingdom and a Villains Land. So they've already drained half of the river of America so they could put this Cars Land in there. And the Cars Land does look really interesting considering it's going to be like you're going to be riding in the cars through America. And you're going to go through different portions. Like you're going to go through the old Southwest. You're going to go up a mountain. And it's going to take up a good amount of land. And then I believe there's another spin ride that's going to happen. And right behind Cars Land and Frontierland is going to be Villains Land. And they have announced a roller coaster themed to Maleficent and a dark ride that's going to be just a Villains themed dark ride. Now, that's all probably going to happen in 2028 if I had to assume. I would say the Cars Land would open first because there's actual more construction going on with that. And Villains Land, that might be a 29, maybe 2030 edition. But Disney is in the process of making this a reality and essentially expanding Magic Kingdom to be one of their bigger parks in Florida.
Yeah, man, that is definitely. I definitely have been reading all the new changes. What are you most excited for?
I would say Villains Land just from that roller coaster. Maybe you have to ride a Maleficent dragon or something. Disney isn't the best at having big thrill coasters by comparison to Universal. So maybe this could be a good aspect of, hey, this ride is going to be scary, so we can make it a little bit more thrilling. Like I would say Disney's most thrilling attraction is Tower of Terror, and that's, a drop tower. Another thing I'm pretty excited about is the Monsters Inc. land coming to Hollywood Studios in next year. So they have announced that the land will open next year, but without the ride. The ride is still going to open in 2028, but they'll have a, I don't know if you remember the movie where they go to a restaurant, there's like an octopus chopping up sushi. They're actually going to build that.
It's like a hibachi place or something.
Yes, it's going I believe it's going to be I think it was hibachi, but yeah, I think it is. It's called like the Harryhausen restaurant, named after like the famous horror director of way back in the day, Ray Harryhausen. And there's going to be like meet and greet opportunities. I believe there's going to be a small show as well. And I'm a fan of that intellectual property. The other big thing coming to Florida is Animal Kingdom. They announced that this year, 2027, the Encanto ride is going to open, and a new Indiana Jones ride is going to be taking place.
Indiana Jones?
Yeah.
It seems like they should not be opening a new ride. To me, it seems like we're getting a little less relevant nowadays. I don't know. What do you think?
I would, yes, because Indiana Jones, I mean, the last movie that came out like 3 years ago was a flop.
It's got to be the last movie, too.
You'd be surprised. Harrison Ford,
is he in the 70s, 80s?
He's probably pushing 80, yeah. He just played Red Hulk in Captain America last year. I mean, if Disney will keep paying him, I mean, I think they'll find a way to keep him alive to keep making these Indiana Jones movies. One of the big stories came out was they're actually basing the Indiana Jones model on actual Harrison Ford. It's not just some random guy.
Oh wow, that's pretty good.
And he even had a little video when they announced the new ride. And then, like I said, the Encanto ride is also going to be happening. Did you ever see that movie?
Honestly, I have not seen that movie.
It was really popular, I would say 5 years ago, but I mean, it's kind of, by the time it opens, it's not going to be as relevant as if it would have opened,
Are they having another like Encanto movie, or?
I'm pretty sure they will. With the popularity of this one, they might have.
I mean, they should. It would help that ride.
Yeah, I think maybe by the time that this ride opens, that they'll announce like Encanto 2, which did great on streaming, and that's one of the reasons why it got a ride in the first place. Keeping things stateside. Other things that are going to open, there's going to be a Coco ride at Disney's California Adventure, and in the Marvel, because in California they can use Marvel, but at California Adventure they also are going to add 2 Marvel attractions probably in 2028. One kind of looks like a flight simulator attraction based on Iron Man, and the other one is, I believe, a kind of thrilling dark ride based on the Avengers. And they're going to build these massive sets, and that one I'm actually probably most excited for, is because, I am a big superhero fan, and we finally get to see like the MCU Avengers in a theme park, not just the comic book characters like at Islands of Adventure.
Yeah, exactly.
And, I would say that kind of wraps up everything. I mean, there are some little other things like Spaceship Earth at Epcot is going to get a potential retheme. The biggest thing that they teased at the very, very end of the D23 Parks Expo is they're going to reimagine Tomorrowland. What that means, I don't know. That's all they said.
I'm sure that more news will come out sooner, I'm sure.
Yeah, Disney likes to kind of, at the very end of their expos, like give a really, really big tease and then follow it up way later. So, I mean, the seed is planted for a potential new Tomorrowland retheme. So they also talked about cruises, Jesse, and I know that's more up your alley. What can you tell us about the newest Disney cruises coming? I think you said by 2031?
Yeah, so it actually going to start in 2029. So Disney revealed an entirely new class of ship, and it starts in 2029. It's actually the biggest cruise news that Disney has released ever. So Disney gave the first look at a brand new class of ship launching in 2029. This is separate from a current Wish class expansion and represents a new direction for Disney Cruise Line. The early concept shows a large open atrium with enormous windows, gives the central areas a much more open, bright design that we're accustomed to seeing the Disney ships. So right now, everyone in the cruise industry, what are they doing with the ships right now? They're making them bigger and bigger. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Everyone. Disney's has this new model where they're going to be doubling. First off, they're doubling the size of their fleet by 2031, which is enormous. I think they're expecting it to be 10 ships by 2031, which is crazy. And they're making the ships more smaller and more intimate experience so that they can like appeal to the more crowd. Because Disney, let's just face it, Disney's going to be more expensive.
Yeah, I would say it's besides like the Ritz-Carlton or like the ultra luxury, Disney is probably the most expensive cruise ship that the average American can afford.
Yeah, exactly. It's about the same cost going on a Disney park. It's going to be expensive. You're going to have but one thing you got to give Disney is they know how to like theme stuff. They're really good at theming stuff. You're going to have a great experience if you go on board, whether you have kids or not. Me personally, I've never been on a cruise ship, but
You've never been on a cruise ship. You've never been on a Disney cruise ship.
Yeah, exactly. I've never been on a Disney cruise ship. Let me get that straight. But looking at like the videos I've watched of Disney, everything is themed way more than Carnival, Royal, MSC, NCL. They go all out, and they almost seem like they have like a limited budget for that particular thing.
And they really are good at giving the customers the best experience possible. Like whether it's like, meet and greets with the characters, which, is really popular in the parks, you could do on the ships. I believe that they have like a bunch of fun rides that are very themed to Disney. Like I think there was a water slide ride where it's like, it's almost like a water coaster, and you can see like Mickey silhouettes. Yeah. And you can have these, character dining experiences. So it is almost like you're going to the parks, but on a ship as well. And I'm glad to see the fleet expanding, just because I think this would give people more opportunity. Now, you can look at it one of two ways. More people get the chance to go on a Disney cruise line. Maybe it'll be cheaper, or they'll charge you more because they're smaller ships.
Yeah. Typically, you're right. It being a smaller ship typically is cheaper, but it being a newer ship, I feel like that nowadays is going to be more expensive because there's less people on board. So the newest ship that's going to be coming out, it's going to be actually next year in 2027. It's going to be Disney Believe, and then in 2029 a new class begins, and then they even say more ships follow after that class. So they're already releasing that. They're expecting to massively grow a market. Everyone knows the cruise market is exploding, which to me that means that Galveston right now doesn't have a year-round like departure of cruise ships, of Disney cruise ships. To me, I'm almost positive especially by 2030, I guarantee you we're gonna have a year-round at least one ship. If not, I'm expecting 2 Disney ships to be year-round here in Galveston.
Yeah, because we have talked about the potential expansion of Galveston, and they're bringing in all these newer ships. I mean, they're going to get Icon next year, so it's potential that they could get Disney year round, which that shows good growth in our particular market. And I do eventually want to try a Disney cruise. I think I would need to have
kids.
Yeah. I am not going as a single adult. No, I'll be happy on Carnival instead.
What do you mean? You're not gonna go with Mickey ears on the ship?
Man, that is really tempting, but I think the FBI agent listening to this with us is like, why are you going on the Disney cruise by yourself, huh?
You sicko.
This is why I stick with Carnival. Margaritaville, though, hey, that's all fair game. They also overly themed their cruises too, Jesse. You kind of left them out.
I did, but the theming kind of goes the opposite direction compared to Disney.
I was going to say, like, that should be de-themed at that point.
By the way, I know it's kind of gone off topic, but Margarita, I did see someone actually did book. I was a little bit wrong. They did book an 8-day on Margaritaville. They remember last show we were talking about the free cruise at the Jason.
Yes, at the was it Jason Aldean? No, Zach Brown Band.
Yeah, Zach Brown Band. And they booked an 8-night cruise, and they paid $360. I did say it was 600 something, so I'm corrected. It was only $360. So for 8-day cruise, $360.
Oh yeah, that's not bad at all.
For 2 people, it's not bad at all.
Do you think they paid more to go to that Zach Brown Band concert than they did to go on this cruise?
I doubt. It depends. Because anyone.
It was at Wrigley Field, so
it was at Wrigley Field. I'm sure that. I don't know. I didn't see the details. You know how sometimes like you watch a game and then you watch a concert.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was 100% sure if that was the same thing, because you can buy nosebleed seats for
probably like $50 or something.
Yeah, probably less than that, and still go to the cruise. So honestly, it's a win-win going to that concert. I'm sure it's a great concert, and then plus you get a free cruise out of it. I would It's great for Margaritaville because it gets people on board, and that was their problem, not getting enough people on board.
I love how their marketing strategy is going, especially with Zach Brown Band concerts. Hey, just go to your local, country concerts. Maybe you'll get a free Margaritaville cruise out of it.
He's the new Jimmy Buffett.
Toes in the water, butt in the sand, not a worry in the world. I don't think I could say the rest without being copyrighted. But yes, going back to Disney, I think that this is going to be a good thing for them overall. And this is starting to justify the high prices at the parks now because they're using this money to go and make more cruise ships, which I imagine that's an incredibly expensive endeavor. But, with Disney being a multi-billion-dollar company, they can afford to have a couple more ships. And like I said, maybe one day I'll go on, try a Disney cruise. I think, you said that in the possibility in your future, once your kids.
I think I might wait till I have grandkids, because then I can take my grandkids, and my kids would be like, "Why didn't you take us on a Disney cruise?"
Because that's what grandparents do. They spoil the grandkids with the other kids. Like, hey, I'm just trying to raise you.
Exactly. My kids think they're not spoiled, even though they're definitely, as you know them, they're spoiled.
Yeah. As your kids are up there, hanging out on the couch, just watching TV. This not a worry in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that'll do it for this week's show. As always, you can find us on Facebook, which, by the way, I was posting pretty regularly about the D23 updates last night, so appreciate those of you that follow along with it. You can find us on Facebook. You can find the podcast on Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts.
Definitely leave us a message, and hey, just ask any questions you have, and we definitely answer them on air.
Yeah, absolutely. We like the listener questions that we did before, so we definitely want to do another one here in the future. But I'm Jack. That's Jesse, and we will see you
on the Lido deck,
or not on an NCL ship, because we're not going there anymore.
Thank you for watching this episode of Lido Loop. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you're notified every time we post more content.